Welcome to the Honest Business Podcast. This is the show for ambitious, value-driven business owners who are actively building a business that works for them. Hi, I'm May James, and I'm here to make scaling your business easier and more rewarding than ever. Each week, we will dive into simple, sustainable strategy and pragmatic leadership discussion to support you as you take imperfect action on your entrepreneurial journey. If you want to stay ahead, exceed your growth goals, and have a purposeful, thriving business, then keep on listening. Hello and welcome back to the Honest Business Podcast. It is 2023. I am very excited to be here. I don't know how you're feeling. I hope you are well. I hope you had an absolutely lovely festive period, and I hope January is going well so far. You probably listened to this at the middle or end of January. So yeah, I hope you're well. Today we are going to talk through my goals for 2022 and did I achieve them? And how many did I achieve? And I think this is going to be interesting. It's a bit of a self-indulgent episode, but I'm sharing it because I think this is going to be interesting for people. I don't tend to do a lot of these kind of episodes, so we're going to do an episode on this, and then we're also going to do an episode on my learnings from 2022, which I do believe will be very helpful. Although I had a lovely time off, I did unfortunately get very ill, and I was in bed for a lot of it, and all of the things I wanted to do when I was off. I took 3 weeks off-ish, for anyone who doesn't know, wasn't quite 3 weeks, and yeah, I got ill, and so I didn't do a lot of the things that I had planned and had hoped to do. However, we still had a fantastic time. My voice maybe potentially sounds quite unpleasant and difficult to listen to, and I apologise for that. I assumed you'd rather have a podcast than not, but my voice is kind of struggling slightly, so I'm only going to record 2 episodes, and let's hope that it holds out for that long. I have had a really busy week back to work. It started back on Monday. It is now currently the 12th of January. It's a Thursday, so if you can hear my stomach rumbling, I think you could there. And I've had a fantastic week and a really great week, and kicked off programs and kicked off one-on-one clients, and seeing the rest of them next week. If you're listening and I haven't seen you, I'm looking forward to seeing you potentially this week when you're listening to this. So my voice is somewhat struggling. We had an amazing 2023 strategy planning day, which was part of Year of Clarity, which is a program we run. So yeah, we've had a busy old week. It's been good. It's been very, very exciting and productive, and lots going on. But I am excited to kind of wind down after today and take the weekend off. So yes, let's dive into this episode. So this episode, basically, I made a load of goals, and I do this goal setting process. It depends year to year whether I do it. Some years I do this, and some years I do a very slim, not very in-depth process. And this is why I'm making this video, because I think this is quite unusual compared to what other people do. And I definitely feel into it year to year as to whether, which option I go for. This type of goal setting isn't a type of goal setting I really teach. I'd support people with setting goals and planning and business strategy, and that is my bread and butter, what I do all year long. It doesn't tend to be a strategy I use a lot, only because if I'm speaking to a group of people, this will not work for quite a majority of people, so it's not kind of a go-to strategy that's really flexible. I mean, I find it flexible, but it's not necessarily what everyone would love. So yeah, but I thought I'd share it with you because someone listening to this, it might be exactly what they need, or they might want to try it this year. So how this works is I basically, at the start of 2022, made a massive list of goals, and I break it up into categories of my life. And then I list out all the goals I can possibly think of that I want to do in that year, and I write them down. So the total of the goals for 2022 was 103. However, in this episode, I'm only going to talk about the categories that I feel comfortable talking about. And so that means that the goals in those categories are 80 goals. So we're going to just talk about it as if it's 80 goals. There is actually 103, but I'm happy to, certain things I don't particularly want to share, and that's fine. So we're just going to do it around that. So the 80 goals that I did I did set. I didn't hit all 80 of them. That's what I'm going to share with you. We're across 3 categories. So those are personal, those are home, and then there's May James, which is the business. So there's one of my businesses is May James, and that is what we're going to discuss. So those 3 categories. And I think it's really interesting to look at, or the figures are going to show you, because I'm going to physically tell you how many I hit, and we're going to kind of talk about it. To backtrack slightly in terms of this theory and how it works and why I do it, for me, last year was a year that I knew was going to be really tough. I knew it was going to be one of my hardest years to date. I went into it in a really difficult place. For those who don't know, my mum tragically suddenly passed away in the September of 2021. Went from being completely, doesn't have an illness, doesn't have any health conditions, to then being dead essentially in a space of 6, 7, 8 hours. And so, the last part of the 2021 was me kind of doing a whole load of stuff around that and, getting back on my feet. And I came back to work in October of 2021. And then I got to the end of 2021 and that was a whole thing to kind of navigate. And so I came into 2022 in a really difficult place and it was hard. And I'll talk a bit more about that in the next episode about my learnings, because I've learned a lot from that experience. But the goal setting I needed to use, I knew it had to be, I needed volume of goals, not specific, like 3 goals. Like sometimes we teach about having 3 yearly goals and that works for a lot of people. Last year I knew that wasn't going to work for me. Like I just knew that I wasn't in a headspace where I was able to structurally look at it like that, and I needed real kind of width and ability to kind of move things and be flexible, because quite honestly I had no clue how it was all going to pan out. I had a business plan, we had another business was supposed to be launching, we had a whole strategy written for 2022 that I had to completely scrap. I mean, not completely, but technically completely. Like massive things had to change, not in the business in terms of what we offer, what we sell, but it was just beyond that in terms of me and my time and my capacity and things. So this approach really served me last year, and it has served me in years gone by, and I think that it's a very interesting one. So as I said, it's very simple. You literally just write out all your goals in all the different categories and you end up with loads of them. Now you don't need 100. That's never the aim. It's not that you have to write a load of them. It's just free flowing, journaling wise, like get out what you want to put. So in terms of the categories, this is where it gets really interesting. So overall, of the 80 goals that I set, that we're going to talk about today, I hit 39 out of 80. So technically, nearly 50%, 49%, let's just say 49%. So 49% of the goals I hit. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because some people will view that as what a failure, and other people view that as, oh my God, that's amazing. For me, I was really happy and was like, this is fantastic, because the whole premise of this system, if you use it to goal set, is that the aim is never to get 100%. I mean, you could try to, but it's going to be pretty hard. So the idea is that you go for, a volume of goals and then you will fall somewhere between them all. Now, bearing in mind that then means I've hit 39 goals. That to me felt really good at the end of last year. Bearing in mind I've had like the year from hell to some degree. Like it's been a really tough year. It's also been a fantastic year in terms of business wise. It's been, great. But in terms of a year overall, and I really think it's important to talk about business holistically, because it is holistic, it's our lives. And so I've had a really tough year. So for me to get to like 39% was great, because I'd came into the year on not a survival mentality, but of a mentality of I didn't really have a choice, in the sense of like what going for these massive things, because I was like, I just need to learn how to live again and learn how to exist, and how my family kind of pieces things back together and continues to live. So that's a whole different, and I'm not going to dwell on that, by the way, so don't worry, I'm not kind of banging on about it for ages, but I think it's important context for people who are listening, because I know some of you are also the same. Some of you have had really hard years in 2022, or you had a really difficult year in 2021, and so 2022 was kind of a recovery from that. And I'm talking openly because I think that's really important, and I know it'll help someone, even if it's just one person. So yes, so anyway, we hit about 49% of the goals, or I hit, sorry, I'm not saying we hit, I hit, this is me. In the personal section, this really made me quite happy and really kind of made me interested. So in the personal section, I made 38 goals, which what was really interesting about that was the highest amount of goals I'd made in any section, which is very unusual for me, because normally what will happen is the business sections get really big and I have all these goals and I'm like, oh my goodness, I want to do this, this, this and this. Whereas last year, and I think that's why I gave the context earlier, it kind of shows where my head was at, of like, I knew personal was like a big focus for me, which isn't always, I'm going to be honest, right? It's not always that. So I made 38 goals and I achieved 28 of them, which is insane for me. Like, that is a big success rate for me. That's about 60%, which is a lot, because, you know, work is a big part of my life and I choose for that to be, and I have a chronic illness, for those who don't know, which means that I have to make very strategic and tough decisions sometimes about where I spend my time and what I focus on in my life and, you know, what I prioritize. Working is one of those because I enjoy it and it gives me a lot of happiness. But that does mean that sometimes I make decisions in other areas of my life which, you know, I don't want to say suffer, but come at a different pace for the year. So it really made me happy that we're at 60% achieved, pretty much 59-60% achieved for that. And then I've achieved like 28 things on the list. Like, that's amazing for me. Like, and that feels really good to have done that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you some of them that I hit and some of them that I didn't, because I think that's maybe interesting. And I know you're probably nosy. The only thing is I need to move books, so move notepads. So if this sounds unpleasant, I do apologise, but I don't know how else to really do it because it's all written in a notebook. So, you know, maybe we'll go back to better sound in at a later date. So some of the personal goals that I hit, and a lot of them are intentions. When I say goals, it doesn't have to be this big thing. It's more about how I want things to be. And some of them you will find funny and think, these, like, why is this even a goal? But, you know, some of them were like, get my hair cut twice, which you were like, what are you on about? But for me, that's a big thing. Like, I can go a long time without getting my hair cut, and that was like a difficult thing. And this year I've really, you know, done a lot of stuff. Like, another one was about getting my nails done every 3 weeks. I did that consistently without fail. You know, another one was to do like a spa trip, which I did multiple of. What else was there? I'm trying to read these. You know, one of them was get support and help when ready with like grief and like going back to therapy and stuff, because I hadn't been to therapy for quite a few years. I'm trying to think now. I don't know, maybe like 4 years or something. And I knew at some point I would want to go back, and that I wanted to find someone who was really great and experienced in grief, because a lot of the stuff that, yeah, it was just a difficult situation in the sense of I've got a lot of things now in my life that I'm trying to like balance and find out and learn, and that's all kind of stems from grief and trauma and stuff like that. So that was really a good thing, and I did that, and that's going really well, and I still continue it. There was like a list of restaurants that I wanted to visit, which again, some of you are going to be like, that's so weird. But when you run a business, you have to start prioritizing things in your life to that degree, otherwise they don't happen. Or I find that anyway, and I know a lot of the people I work with do. So then I literally wrote out like, these are the restaurants I want to visit. Bear in mind as well, like this was the first year really like post-COVID, right? So a lot of the stuff was about us getting really clear on like, what did I actually want to kind of do? Another one was like not gain any weight, which I'm not going to dwell on this because I know this is a controversial issue, you know, topic for people. But that was something I set. I wasn't even going to attempt to lose weight. Like last year I was like, yeah, that's not going to, like that's not even on the cards for me. I'm not even going to put that as like something I want to do. But yeah, that was something that I managed to achieve, I think. I don't really know. I think so. Eat more consistently was something I wanted to do, is in terms of like eating 3 meals, and I know a lot of people can find that. Obviously by the time I'd gotten to January last year, eating was all over the place because of all the craziness that had happened, and so that was something I sorted this year, and we've been in a good routine with. Take total breaks off work, that was something I really achieved last year. Massive huge wins in terms of me completely switching off and not working and not even thinking about work, so that was really cool. Holding really strong boundaries, that was another thing I did really well last year, like really did good. Still improvements to be made, obviously, and things that I've put in place from this week forward, which has been going well, so that's exciting. And another big one for me that actually was a massive win was just don't say yes to anything that I don't want to do. I have spent so much time in my life doing that, and this year was like the year I was like, you're not doing that anymore, mate. And I did it. I managed to do it. And I feel so happy about that, which is great. I also wrote a thing about what do I want, and I just thought I'd share this with you. So I wrote 3 bullet points of 3 words of what I wanted for 2022. And I said space, balance, calm, and love. And I put a massive tick next to those 4 because that is exactly what I had. And although I have had a difficult year, it's been filled with those 4 things, and that makes me really happy and really good. It feels really weird to be talking on a podcast about myself, I think, because I just spend so much of my time helping other people and supporting others. It just feels a bit weird talking about myself, but okay. I don't know if anyone, this might be like the least listened to episode, who knows, or it could be the most listened to, we'll see. So yeah, I did some really good stuff in terms of personal stuff, and it made me very happy and really proved to me that I can do, you know, I can have a fantastic business year and really develop and devote so much time to my personal stuff. Now, what didn't I achieve in the personal list? There's quite a few on this. So what's an interesting one? Let me think about it. One of them was like, me and my partner wanted to do a trip to London, because I go to London quite a lot with work. And the way he works, it means that we can like blend schedules together and it would work, but we just never managed to make that happen. And we would go on our own, just like not linked to a work trip, but that just never happened. So that's probably on the list for this year that we will look at doing. What else didn't I do? I said that I wanted, some of them are funny, aren't they, when you read them back a year later and you're like, did I really say that? One of them was about, sleep. Yeah, sleep's always a difficult one for me. So one of them was to get asleep by 11 p.m. I mean, that just did not happen and doesn't happen. And I really struggle with my sleep. I have insomnia. That is not the reason why I can't sleep, though. There are things I can do that would support that, which is something we're looking at this year. But the sleep thing's always a big one. Get out of the house to walk every day. That was something that I did not do. My step count is terrible, so that didn't happen. There was something else. What else was there that I didn't do? I thought there was a good one to share with you. Now I can't blummin' find it. Yeah, I don't know them. I can't see it. Oh, no, one of them was about going to the beach. So I wrote that I wanted to go to the beach 11 times, which I know sounds really weird to some people, but the beach is like my happy place and I really love it. But it's not like that near. I mean, it's not that far either from us, but it's not like on our doorstep. So we kind of have to like make an effort to go there. And I'd say I probably went about 4 or 5 times last year. And actually I really could do with going pretty much once a month. And so that will be again on the list for this year because I'd like to do that. Anyway, moving on to a different category, we have home. Now, home was interesting. Some of you might be like, why do you put home separate from personal? It's more just because it's like a project. We moved into our house. We've been here for 2 years now. And yeah, it's a project. It's an ongoing project, which didn't really get much love, which you're going to find out in 2022. I hit 20% of the goals, but I only set 10, so it's only actually 2. The 2 that I did was utilise the garden in the summer, which we did do. I mean, not hugely, but we did do it. Like, we had a barbecue a couple of times and we actually sat outside and used it, which I know some of you are going to be like, why is that a goal? But again, for me, that was like a big thing because I just didn't do that in 2021. And then get a new bed was like the other thing that we did manage to do, but we didn't do it until like the 31st of December. So I don't really know if that classes. I think it does because we've like ordered it and it's all coming. And so that means 2023 sleep will be better. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, there was then a thing that we just didn't do, which was about keeping a tidy home. There was things about wardrobes, like we need to, basically I'm going to move office and my current office is becoming like a dressing room, walk-in wardrobe type thing. And then that was all supposed to happen in in January of last year, then in March. And we've now got to we've got to January 23 and that hasn't happened. So I have made inroads with it. Someone is coming to help me with that this week or the next week. So hopefully I can get moving with that one. But yeah, that took so long. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if you relate to this, but like when you're busy and you're running business and you're doing things and you're managing life and family, like all this stuff just doesn't happen sometimes, and that's okay unless you make it a priority. And for me, last year, evidently I didn't. There's like a thing in our living room I want to sort, like I want to get some kind of joinery thing in there so that there's more storage. And then like decluttering, I need to do that once a month and I didn't. I did it probably 3 or 4 times in the year, but we need to do it like more often because the house just gets, because I spend all my time here, like I'm here all the time, that it just gets really cluttered and really messy. So that was the home section. But the section you're maybe more interested in is the business section. So May James section is an interesting one. What did I do on that one? Oh, this was good. So I set 32 goals, which is actually not very many for me in terms of business, but that kind of shows kind of where my head was at, and the fact that I was like, I knew that I was just not gonna be able to, I had no clue what was gonna happen. So I was like, I just don't think this is gonna I was like, I just don't know how this is gonna go. So we set 32 and we hit 14 of them, which I'm happy with. I thought it was good. So we've done 44% of those. The big thing with the business thing that was interesting is we achieved loads and loads of stuff that last year that wasn't on the list to start with, which I think's so interesting. Projects, like different wins, like just loads of stuff that I was like, we never even had not thought about it, but we hadn't, like, it wasn't on the strategy to do, which was really nice. And I say that to people a lot, like the whole point of a strategy is just to give you a roadmap. There's going to be things that come and kind of boost you or deter you or do things that you just can't plan for. So that was really nice in the sense of like, we had a really great year last year. It was a different year in the sense of what it was planned to be, but that's cool, like that was fine. And yeah, I did 14. So let me share some of them, the ones I can share with you. So one of them was launch the podcast, which we did. When did we do that? I think that was in like April, was it? Or March or May, something around that time. And I said I wanted to do 40 episodes, which I think we've done. Yeah, I think we're on like 45 now or something. So yeah, launch the podcast was a big one. That was like a big project for us in 2022 because we started working on it in 2021 and I was like, want to get the podcast out. Another goal was about brand photo shoots and like content we needed, which we did that a number of times, I think, actually, and that went really well. Another thing was about network, and I wanted to do some Northeast network, and I'm based in the Northeast of England, and I don't do a lot. Like, my business is global. We serve clients across 5 continents. You know, I don't have a lot of time to go around like having business lunches or breakfast meetings. But I did do some networking. Yeah, so we did a bit of that, which was great. What else did we do? Oh, we filmed the Executive Video Vault, which is now called the CEO Video Vault, I think. And that was a great project as well, because that was something that was on the list in 2021 and we managed to execute in 2022. And in 2023, there's more coming with that, which is what's really exciting me. So if you're a client who has CEO Video Vault as a offering, it's going to be, you know, not instantaneously, but it's on the list and there's things coming in that for 2023. So that's fun. That for anyone, if you're like, what is that? It is a video vault, as you might expect, that is made for kind of advanced business owners or business owners who are scaling. And you get access to that through my one-to-one 6-month container. You get it through CEO Strategy Day. Yeah, it's a great resource. It's really good, but there's loads on the list. Like, we're only kind of like a third, well, no, not even that. I'd say maybe a fifth or a quarter of the way through that as we want to get with it. But it was all about, for me, just taking the time with it and not rushing it. So we did that last year and I think that went really well. Create a new product in the business, we did that. Well, we created many, but the thing that goal relates to was about having something that was low ticket, which we did, which was good. Email, that was another big thing for us last year. Like, getting actually consistently emailing our lovely email list, which was a big project that has taken us months and months and months to deal with and do, and we finally got there. I don't know, when did that start? Was that like September, October time? I think that was when that kicked off, and that's been going really well. So we have now something called the CEO Edit, which if you aren't subscribed to and you don't get, it is like an issue that comes out. It's really cool. Comes out on a Tuesday lunchtime into your inbox, and it's not really like a heavy business read. It's about business, but it's also about life and living a happy, and, you know, it's for people who like nice things. I share my picks of the week with you, which are different products. We have a nice quote in there. Yeah, there's just like, it's just fun. It's nice. It's kind of a roundup of things. There's a book recommendation in there. If you're not currently, you know, if you don't receive it and you're not a reader, then go to the link in the bio, like mayjames.com/links, and there's a button there that you can click on to subscribe for that, because it is a really nice kind of installment, and we had some fab feedback on that, which I so appreciate. So if you're one of those that did leave feedback, I appreciate that, because there's so much time and effort and tears and stress was set on that. We had to move email providers, we've had to do all sorts of bits and pieces to be able to get it how we wanted it to. I mean, it's still not perfect, but, you know, it is what it is. It's a work in progress. But that was a big win for last year. Now, okay, so what else was there? There was some accounting stuff that I needed to sort out in 2022. There was like a system we had that wasn't working and that I didn't like, and it was frustrating. And so we did deal with that. And again, that ended up being quite a big project. So that was really nice to do. What else can I share with you? Some of the stuff I can't really share, but I'm trying to think, what didn't we do that I wanted to do? Oh, we didn't do LinkedIn. Right, LinkedIn. So LinkedIn was on the list for last year. I have quite a big, I don't want to say community because it's not a community that's not engaged. Quite a big following, if you will. I don't love using that word following, but that's essentially what it is. Or connections on LinkedIn. And in 2022, that was the year I was like, right, we want to do that. And we had a big strategy thing. And I was like, we're going to do it, because I really quite enjoy LinkedIn. It's just I'm not really an active participant on there, and it didn't happen. We just couldn't do it. Like, it kept being on the project list and there was so much going on. I kept making a decision to be like, right, we need to do this, so let's stop this, and we need to keep going, so let's, stop that. And so it never happened. And so this year it's back on the list. And I hope by the end of the year we will have successfully, gone down that route. But I'm sharing because I think that's interesting for you, right? To hear, like, we don't hit all the things that we set out we want to do. There was another thing about blog posts. Like, that was another thing I wanted to do. I've got lots of things that we want to do around that, and that just didn't happen because I don't have enough time, don't have enough hands, don't have, sadly we don't have 48 hours in a day, we have 24, and it's difficult and you have to make decisions. So that didn't happen. Get to know more of my LinkedIn community. That was something I really wanted to do, which again didn't happen. So that was a bit of a fail. What else didn't happen? We had certain targets for the email list and like what size we wanted to get the email list to that we didn't hit, which I'm excited to dive into more in 2023. One of the biggest issues I think with that was we just started it late. I think it must have been Q3 or Q4, but late in Q3 if we did. So yeah, I'm kind of excited this year to do that. What else? Is there anything else that I didn't hit that is interesting that I can share with you? Oh, there was like some offerings that we wanted to launch that we didn't launch. When I say launch, I don't mean in terms of doing like a launch to get people in, more just like actually establishing the service in the business and having it as an offering. We just didn't get there. But it's so interesting, this, isn't it? Because I think so much of this is down to the stuff that we can't control. And if you want to call it the universe, if you want to call it whatever word fits for you, I quite like the universe idea. Sometimes it's just not meant to be, is it? Or it's not meant to happen at that time, because this year, already this week, in like 3 days, something to do with that idea of one of the offerings has just developed a whole lot more and has become a lot more clearer. And I think that's what's really fascinating about all of this, is that write something down and you set an intention and you set a goal, and it's about what happens beyond that. And like, actually, the thing you write down is very rarely the actual main thing. It's just a catalyst to something else manifesting or something else being given to you. And I think that's interesting, and opportunities presenting themselves and then you running with them. So yeah, I really love reading and looking back at these kind of things, because I just think it's really interesting to see where you've made progress and where you haven't. But yeah, I'm really happy with the progress we made last year. I suppose I should probably go through like what we achieved, but it just feels a bit weird, to be honest. Not really that, that's not really my thing. But we did have a very good year. We had our best year in business to date. We had really good business, revenue growth. The team grew last year, which was a huge win. Really grew the team. And that was something like, there's not on that list. We hadn't put anything about expanding the team, because by the time I was like in January last year, I was like, yeah, we're not even going to like go there, sort of thing. But we did probably halfway through the year, which was really fab, and got some new team members, and we had a bit of a like shuffle around in terms of what everyone was doing and tasks and responsibilities, and that went really well. And we've also had some really amazing things happen that I haven't actually shared yet publicly, so which happened in Q4 of last year, so they will come out in time. Some things that are still in the pipeline that is really cool. Obviously, I won an award last year, which was really fun, and I won Young Entrepreneur of the Year at the Northeast Businesswoman Awards, which was a huge win, and again, something that was never on a goals list. It's not something I've ever felt like I wanted to do, but it was a really nice addition and way to end the year. So yeah, there's a lot being going on. But that is what I hit. I hit about, what did we say, 49 of my goals from last year? No, 39 of the goals out of 80. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this. I hope this has maybe been, I don't know, maybe you're just nosy and you wanted to hear what was going on. But I will be excited. And if you like this, I maybe do one next year. I don't know. As I say, I have no clue whether this is kind of content that people want to hear or not. But I'm really proud of myself for 2022. I'm really proud of the business. And it's been a real year for balance and understanding nuance and understanding happiness and sadness at the same time, and how you manage that. And I'm going to talk about that more in the next episode, because I'm going to talk about what I learned in 2023, which is maybe slightly more practical for you all in terms of, what can you take away and implement in your business. The only thing I wanted to leave you on with this episode was tips for using this system for yourself. If you actually listened to this and thought, I want to give this a go, I think it's kind of interesting and I want to try it. What I would say is I write them. If you're going to do this where you start having loads and loads of them, I write them over sort of like 2 or 3 days, and I just leave it hanging around, like leave it in your kitchen, get a pen next to it, and then you can add to different things. And I really try and make it like lifestyle based things. I mean, I suppose some of the business things aren't, but some of the business things are. So, make sure that they're tangible enough that you can tick them off and it's not completely, unable to know when, what actually is it and what does it achievement look like. But they don't all have to be SMART goals. Like, that's what I'm essentially saying. Like, I don't mind SMART goals. They work, for some things they're really amazing for other things they're okay. But for this, the purpose is not to create SMART goals from them. It's about you writing just a list of bullet points and thoughts and desires down and really connecting with them and really understanding why you're putting them. And what I found fascinating when I read mine back was that even though some of them I wrote I didn't necessarily want anymore or was that bothered about, like the fact I hadn't hit it, I was like, oh, well, whatever. The reason I haven't hit it because I'm not bothered. What was interesting is I really could understand the feeling of why I'd wrote it, and that was a real connection point, which I think is really interesting. So yeah, give it a go. Let me know if you're going to try it. Reach out on Instagram. I'm at may.james_. And yeah, I'll speak to you in the next episode. Have a good one. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Honest Business Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure that you are subscribed. And if you'd like to support the podcast, please share it with others and leave a rating and review. To catch up with all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at may.james_, where I share the raw, uncut, behind the scenes reality of what running multiple businesses every day truly looks like. As always, links and any resources that were mentioned in the episode will be in the show notes below. That's all for this episode, and I look forward to seeing you next time.